Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So, have you and your partner, your husband, your wife, your lover, your whatever name you want to put on it, whatever label you want to put on it, but have you and this person completely just lost all of that passion in your relationship? Have you and your lover, have you and your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your whatever your situation is, have you and that person become roommates, right? Have you just become roommates and the other part of the relationship has now gone cold? It's completely just absent. So that's what I want to discuss today. How you got there and what you can do to get out of that situation. So we're going to talk about why you and your husband or your wife or your partner or your girlfriend or your boyfriend have become more of roommates and not lovers. And then how could you turn that around? How could you turn that around to get back to the point where you're more than just roommates? And so that's today's discussion. So, I was doing a couple sessions a couple weeks ago, a couple life coaching sessions a couple weeks ago, and realized that this is something that is really, really, really pervasive in a lot of relationships where people have, essentially, as I've said, they've become roommates. And what has happened is people have gotten so comfortable, right, with the other person. So one person has gotten so comfortable, or both of them in some instances have gotten so comfortable with each other. And when I say comfortable, they have gotten to the point where the relationship has become so routine and it has become so boring and that they've lost all of that passion and they've gotten just kind of, I guess you could say, too secure in the relationship, if there's such a thing, and I'll explain that. Too secure in that they don't see a need or a desire to try to impress or to please or to do anything to make the other person happy. So overly secure, perhaps. Now, you want to be secure in your relationship. You're thinking, yeah, I want to be secure in my relationship. Yeah. But you also don't want to get to the point to where you don't care about the other person's happiness. And so why I'm calling it being overly secure. Maybe another word for it is you've just become too complacent, right? So your relationship is filled with complacency and you've gotten to the point to where you no longer see or have a need. There's no longer a desire for each of you, for any one of you, to actually do anything to please the other person. And so what happens now is you, over a period of time, lose all of that passion and all of that, the fun stuff you had early on when you were dating. So think about it when people are dating, right? When you start dating someone, typically you spend a tremendous amount of time with them because you want to be able to get to know them. In the academic world, we call that the uncertainty reduction theory, where you spending time with someone to reduce the level of uncertainty you have about that person. But what happens over a period of time, obviously, is you get to know the person, especially if you've moved on to live with them or marry them or whatever the case is. And so the tendency in a lot of relationships now is people don't spend as much time getting to know each other or doing things with each other after they've been together for a number of years. So if you're not spending time with each other again the way you used to, right, and you're not doing things the way you used to, then what happens to the relationship? Because I think of relationships as they have to be consistently or continually, maybe not consistently, but continually fertilized, depending on how you want to define those words, consistently and continually, right? Because consistency could sound like it must happen every week. So I think continually is probably a better word. So they have to be continually fertilized. In other words, you have to keep putting in some effort into the relationship. It can't be to where, I've talked to couples where, you know, intimacy in the relationship is maybe once a month or every 2 or 3 months, or couples who have sex maybe once a month or every 6 weeks or 7 weeks. Or it's ridiculous, right? For you to be in a relationship, and it's worse if it's one person who's kind of quote unquote holding out, and the other person wants to be intimate and wants. That's how you get problems arising in a relationship, where one person just kind of shuts down, and then the other person now is kind of wondering, okay, what's going on? Are you being pleased or sexually satisfied somewhere else? Because you don't seem to be interested in having that type of bond and that type of stuff with me. So then, what else is going on? And I think it's reasonable for a lot of people to think that. And again, that's where communication comes into the relationship, so that you're able to then lay all cards on the table, so to speak, and actually have a conversation with the person about what is going on. Unfortunately, though, what I have realized is most people don't have those conversations. A lot of times we just make assumptions, and so we don't have the conversations, those necessary conversations with someone, so that they will know how you really feel. So, hey, you know what? I feel like we're roommates. We're not lovers. No, it's cool that we're roommates because, we're that's kind of what a situation is. But I want to be more than just your roommate, right? Because if you think about it, there's some things you don't just do with a roommate, right? Your roommate is because you want to split the rent and the bills and all that sort of stuff. But you're typically not sleeping with your roommate. Well, I mean, I guess that just depends on who we're talking about, right? But you typically, you know what I mean, when it comes to a serious relationship, it's more than just a roommate situation. And unfortunately, as I've said, that's where I see a lot of people have gotten to the point where they're just in a roommate situation. So how do you get out of it, right? Because I talked about that at the beginning. How do you get beyond just that roommate situation? Well, first of all, it starts with communication, as I just said. You have to be able to sit down with the person, and when I say communication, I don't mean cussing or cussing out somebody, because that doesn't solve anything. And a lot of times what people do is they want to start a big cuss out or an argument or whatever. Well, that's only going to make the situation a whole lot worse. So you've got to tell this person, hey, we need to sit down and we need to talk about where our relationship is. Yes, I still care about you. Yes, I still love you. But look, I feel like we're more than roommate. I feel like we're just roommates. We're not lovers. Where has all that passion and that? And so sometimes they're thinking the same thing. They're also wondering what happened. Like, where did we go wrong? Is it that our only focus now is on kids and finances and all that sort of stuff? And so we don't focus on ourselves anymore and our relationship collectively. We don't focus on that to focus on that again the way we used to when we first met. And so you have that grown up conversation that could then help to you know, open up doors of so that you can solve problems, right? You've got to be able to open doors that lead to solutions so you could solve some problems. And so that's one place that you could definitely begin to do that. I think the other thing that I've come to realize is people don't do things anymore. Just do things. Now I know we're in a pandemic, and so it's really difficult for you to really get out and do certain types of things. But it's not difficult for you all to get out and put on a mask and walk the side of the road or walk around a park or whatever the case is, that sort of stuff. Or difficult for you to play board games, but if you can play them outside instead of just being inside of the house all the time, right? It's maybe not difficult for you to go for a little drive if you can, if you have a car. I don't know what your circumstances are. Or for you to visit a park and have picnic or whatever the case is if you have kids, or maybe by yourselves sometimes. I mean, just like little things like that break the routine that you found yourself in, that very boring routine where all you're worried about maybe is just bills and all that sort of stuff. No, yes, I know you got to worry about that, but you also will kill your relationship if you don't put any kind of effort and emphasis and focus on your relationship as well. You would hurt your relationship in the long run, and then yeah, well, there'll always be other things for you to worry about. So those are things that you absolutely have to consider and to think about. And then, if it's necessary, talk to somebody, right? Go see your pastor, your priest, or do a Zoom call these days, because maybe you can't visit somebody. But you could also see a life coach and all that. Now you can use technology and stuff. My thing is look for solutions, but it begins with a conversation. It begins undoing what is already damaged begins with a conversation. It's all about communication. And so you have to be able to approach each other in a way that is respectable and, and very adult like and mature, and have the difficult conversation about where your relationship is if you want it to grow. The longer you let things fester, right? The longer you let things just kind of sit there, then they become worse. My grandmother used to tell me all the time that if you the best she used to say, beat the iron while it's hot. So you gotta just pound on an iron while it's hot, beat it, beat it, beat it. Because if it's hot, then you could shape it and mold it and kind of turn it into what you want it to be for the most part. But if you wait for it to get cold, right? If you wait for your relationship to get cold, then it might be too late for you to find any kind of spark to be able to shape and mold that relationship once it's gotten to the point where it's considered that's it. People don't want to. You've moved beyond where even communication could actually help you. So think about what I said. Leave your thoughts, your tips in the comment section and let me know. Right? Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on your post notifications because I post every single day. Also, please share the videos as well and hit the like button. Those two things do help the channel grow, and I'm trying to grow the channel, so I really appreciate it for all of you who take the time to watch the video. To do those two things for me, share the video and hit the like button. Leave your comments. If you've got any ideas or tips or videos that you would like for me to do, leave those in the comments as well. So think about it, right? Think about what I said. Make sure you take some time to invest in your relationship, but it begins with communication, right? It begins with communication. So until next time, be good. Peace.